So the WIMO is basically a local scientific congress for medical students in their 5th year. It started officially in 2011, but the planning and preparatory work had already started in 2009. During the WIMO, the students go through all the steps of a typical scientific congress. So first, students write an abstract about the topic of their master thesis and submit it via an online submission system. Second, they each receive then 3 abstracts from fellow students for anonymous peer review. Again, then they submit their ratings and comments online, and so each student receives peer feedback. In the 3rd step, the students prepare a 10-minute oral presentation with PowerPoint slides, and each student holds his or her talk then during the actual Congress week in a small group of 10 to 12 students with a moderating tutor. The WIMO program overall runs for 3 consecutive weeks and contains, apart from the described Congress elements, various lectures, seminars, and offers for consulting sessions for students regarding their own scientific projects or a scientific career. The Faculty of Medicine wanted to strengthen the students' scientific competence with the WIMO. For organizational reasons, it had to be held at the end of the 2nd master's year, at a time when many students are eagerly awaiting to enter the elective year. It was therefore very important to design an attractive program that could also deviate a bit from the rules of the other thematic blocks. With the WIMO, we wanted to show that science is fun, that science is tremendously diverse, and that it thrives on the exchange of ideas. During the WIMO, students can complete or at least substantially advance the work on their master thesis. Hence, we came up with the concept to simulate a congress which gives students the opportunity to present their own scientific work to a larger audience. Written and oral presentation skills, which are practiced in the WIMO, are an asset for any medical career. I took over the WIMO organization in 2015, but I've already been part of the planning team. The WIMO steering group originally consisted only of representatives from the Department of Biomedicine and Clinical Research. So when I took over, I found it important to additionally include also a representative of public health, so that all 3 main disciplines of medical research, so biomedicine, clinical research, and public health, are represented in the WIMO steering group. Yeah, right. I've coordinated the WIMO for 8 years now. And this year I actually passed on the lead to Professor Christiane Pauli-Magnus. I very much liked and still like this idea of a student congress and promoting science for medical students. It is unique in Switzerland and probably even internationally. The WIMO is an unusual teaching block with a lot of interaction with students and tutors, and is not only about passing on knowledge, it is also about inspiring and consulting students about a scientific career. Along the years, we always modified and tried out a couple of new things, and you can be creative here. For instance, we recently included a new competition about searching the literature, the so-called Searchathon, which is offered by Michael Wilde from the Studiendekanat and Hannah Ewald from the Medical Library in Basel. The final Congress Day is definitely the highlight of the WIMO. Plenary talks of the 6 best-ranked students, the breadth of the topics, for example, from new methods to identify eggs of helminths in human feces in sub-Saharan Africa, to sophisticated analyses of new MRI sequences in the diagnosis of multiple sclerosis, and how generations of students get better and better over the years. To present in English, for instance, was often an issue in the first couple of years of the WIMO. Nowadays, it is just the standard and everyone tries his or her best. Another highlight is typically the keynote lecture of a renowned physician scientist. We had, for example, Marcel Tanner presenting about the development of malaria vaccines, or Gordon Guyatt from McMaster University, who coined the term evidence-based medicine. Or at the first WIMO, we had a pharmacology professor from the US, who is originally from the Philippines. And as a child, he dived for sea snails that hunted and paralyzed their prey. So as a scientist later on, he investigated the different poisons of these snails and discovered several anesthetics and narcotics for medical use. Students are typically quite neutral at the beginning of a WIMO. They do not exactly know what to expect and may even be a bit overwhelmed by the number of different offers of consultancies, seminars, etc. But then they realize that they can pick and choose according to their needs and interests, and that there is still time left for working on their master thesis. This everyone is working on their thesis often gives a push and triggers exchange and collaboration among students. The main takeaways are therefore real progress with the master thesis, clarifications or solutions for problems or obstacles in individual master theses, ideas for possible scientific careers in medicine, and hopefully also increased confidence and practical skills for scientific presentations. The Karger Prize is not a prize for the best master thesis, but a prize for the best scientific presentation. So how well does a student succeed in preparing his or her topic so that it is understandable for a heterogeneous audience? So how well is he or she able to convincingly show that the topic is important and that the right scientific conclusions are drawn? So ultimately, it is a prize for convincing science communication. The Corona crisis has shown how important science communication is. And with the Karger Prize, we are raising awareness about this importance.